Hi, I am Anna. I come from www.ntvforex.com. Weekly column: silver prices just made their biggest weekly advance. http ntvforex.com news ID A23679 7/26/2022 41:17 p.m. Review and preview. Silver prices just made their biggest weekly advance since the 2008 collapse of Lehman Brothers, but the run-up has been largely eclipsed by smaller gains in gold prices. The less valuable metal climbed 20% over the past week to $23 an ounce, an increase of more than 94% from its bottom below $12 in March. Jonathan Garber, silver prices poised to outshine gold, www.foxbusiness.com, July 24, 2020. So the default is to proceed on the notion that the way to hold the White House and Senate this fall is to join Democrats in a spend-a-thon. In fact, conservative voters are increasingly unhappy about the lasting damage Washington's aid bills are doing to both the balance sheet and the underpinnings of the private economy. The mystery is who in the White House keeps deputizing Mr. Mnuchin as lead congressional envoy, given Mrs. Pelosi's flawless record of schooling him in the art of the deal. Kimberly A. Strassel, The Mnuchin Follies, Wall Street Journal, July 24, 2020. The triple solar oppositions to the Capricorn stellium involving Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, July 14, 20 saw precious metals prices explode to new multi-year highs. It also coincided with probable cycle crests in several world stock indices, after which many began to fall. Aiding this surge in precious metals and the pause in world stock markets was the continuing decline to new yearly lows in US dollar and new yearly highs in the euro currency. A fundamental shift in investor psychology is underway again, which is the message of Saturn moving back into Capricorn on July 1, 2020, joining Jupiter and Pluto as part of the powerful Capricorn stellium for 2020. It is a time to revisit, re-evaluate, and correct errors in judgment and/or decisions made in the first quarter of this year before Saturn left Capricorn briefly for Aquarius, March 21 – July 1. Much of this, of course, has to do with the return of accelerating cases of COVID-19 in the US, and the flood of money being created by the Federal Reserve Board, along with additional fiscal stimulus measures being developed by the government in an attempt to address the economic threats of this virus. Or is it primarily to garner votes for the November elections? With this spend-a-thon comes the fear of revisiting the 4Ds of Pluto in Capricorn: debt, deficits, downgrades, and defaults. With Jupiter exaggeration, monetary and fiscal matters are spiraling out of control to debt levels never imagined under Republican leadership in the US. It makes you wonder who is really in control here. Do they or he really know how to manage money, and how much debt can the US take on without seriously debasing its currency, or at least losing the faith of other nations who currently regard the dollar as the standard of world monetary exchange? Let us begin with a review of the US stock market of the last 2 weeks. The triple solar oppositions unfolded July 14, 20. On July 13, the Nasdaq futures made a new all-time high. It was retested again on July 21, and in fact, the cash market made a new time high then, for a case of intermarket divergence between futures and cash. The other indices did not make new all-time highs, but the S&P made a new primary cycle high on July 22. The DJIA did not, but it did make a new major cycle crest one level less than a primary on July 15, which was retested again on July 22. Its primary cycle high remains June 8, the first trading day after a powerful lunar eclipse, and 2 trading days after the midpoint of Venus retrograde. These are further examples of intermarket bearish divergence in a geocosmic critical reversal zone. By the end of last week, each of these indices was testing or breaking below its 15-day moving averages, an indicator that the major cycle has topped out, and because it is so late in the primary cycle, that may have also been the primary cycle crest, right in the time band for a reversal as identified by these geocosmic studies. This is how market timing works via our methodology of combining cycle studies with geocosmic studies along with charting and technical studies. These market divergences were observed in stock markets across the globe. In Europe, post-crash highs were made on Tuesday, July 21, in the Netherlands AEX, German DAX, and Zurich SME. All then fell hard into Friday. The London FTSE did not even make a new weekly high. In Asia and the Pacific Rim, India's Nifty index made a new post-crash high on July 22, whereas China completed its primary top on July 13. No other markets in this region made new primary cycle highs last week. However, the bigger story was in gold and silver. Gold traded above 1900 for the first time since its all-time high in September 2011, which makes us look good since we started our buying program for subscribers in August 2018, just 2 days after it made its 31.33-month cycle low at 1,167. Silver soared to 23.67 last week, its highest price since September 2013. All of this bullish activity was related to the decline in the US dollar due to the questionable financial policies and intentions of the US government described earlier. This is truly a reflection of the principles of Jupiter and Pluto excessive debt, along with Saturn in Capricorn. And with Saturn soon to move into Aquarius again and form a waning 45-year cyclical square to Uranus next year, there is reason to be concerned that the government is not being run by financial geniuses, not that the opposition to the ruling party is any better. Short-term geocosmics. Our current focus is shifting to August 4, 24, when transiting Mars in Aries will make its first of 3/4 cycle square aspects to the Capricorn stellium. The other two will be completed by the end of this year, which means that between now and late December 2020, we will be returning to the social, political, governmental, economic, and health-related dynamics that were present when these synodic cycles involving Mars began March 20, 31, 2020. That was the peak of hysteria related to the awareness that COVID-19 is an invisible enemy not to be easily contained, and out to destroy our way of life, whether real, imagined, or manipulated. The cosmos doesn't care or judge. It just reports what is happening in the cycles of human activity. And, it suggests that those same forces are back again now, and possibly through the end of this year. If it is anything like late March and geocosmics suggest it is, then financial markets could be riled again, subject to large price moves. What makes the rest of this year even more intriguing is that this hard aspect of Mars to Jupiter-Pluto-Saturn will also contact the NYSE New York Stock Exchange natal Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in opposition to Saturn in the same cardinal sign degrees, especially between August 30 and October 12. It will then form a grand cardinal cross with the NYSE then. It touches off a similar pattern with planets in the natal charts of the U.S.A., the Federal Reserve Board, Jerome Powell, Peter Navarro, and Donald Trump. If you like action, this may be fine. If you wish safety and security, it may not be so fine if you are not aware of the correspondence between cycles in the cosmos and cycles in human activity. With awareness and knowledge, you can make choices that affect the outcome and consequences of decisions in your life. You can choose not to be careless or impulsive. You can choose to think twice before initiating action, especially when that action may create adverse reactions from others, or making decisions that put yourself, your community, your nation, the planet, and others in danger. This is a time for everyone to strive to be authentic, calm, and self-controlled, and to understand when it is both too much and never enough. You don't have to be a genius and you don't have to be loud and bold. In times like this, it may be best just to be alert, aware, and practice self-control and good management of circumstances. Saturn in Capricorn and finances. With these tools, you can successfully navigate the dynamics of this powerful geocosmic formation that is upon us for most of the remainder of this year. In terms of personal trading, these qualities can lead to very handsome profits. Failure to adhere to these qualities could have the opposite effect. The opportunities, as well as stakes, are very high right now, whether related to health, relationships, or finances. I don't mean to preach. I just want everyone to be aware of what is happening above, because as above, so below. And let us not forget that there is the 6,000-year cyclical comet Neowise visible in the morning skies. A messenger and an astronomical marvel of beauty and hope for humanity. Subscribe our channel to receive the news as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. If you want to read real-time news, text messages to MT5 Expert Advisors page at https://m.me mt5.expert.advisors.